predicaments and challenges that we face.
In that case, rephrase your question because I think I'm hearing you say that you're finding that overall news is degrowing. Is that the question?
Look, the question is news possible. It's not a question, it's a proposition. The way I look at news and GEC, I feel that they're not one and the same. And the predicaments and the challenges are unique to news industry. And yet, like as I said, that we're free to air and we still have to shell out money for reaching the consumers.
No, absolutely. There's no question that news and GEC are not the same. Although some channels you might argue that they're more entertainment than news, but by and large, as a genre, it is much more. News is, of course, completely different. Just like sports is completely different from general entertainment, as is movies. So, yes, obviously, that's why we call them different genres, because they are fundamentally different. The reason why people come to them are different. So, from that standpoint, look, I think again, you've called me, I'm a media person, so you'll get that perspective.
Right. You always come up
the reality here is, and I think the beauty about news is that everybody likes to seek out news. So the reach, amongst all the TV viewing population, the reach for news is really, really high. The thing is that there's reach and there's time spent.
That's right.
And these two things make up viewership. So people, when during the COVID days, when people were anxious, they wanted to know more information about how to survive, I think the news genre did a human service. They did fantastic work to get the best panelists, best doctors. There was such great content that it became so sticky. All of us were spending hours on news genre just because we needed to know more. The share of news went up from 7% of all TV viewing to 20%. That's because people were hungry, and you guys filled that void with some fantastic work. But the same thing, when it gets back into normal news, reality is that people will come, take the news, spend a few minutes, and get out. That's reality. What we try to do is, oh my God, I reached 20, now why am I back down to 5 or 6? I have to go back to 20. Then you start doing things which is not true to your fourth estate. It's not true to your core. Because then you suddenly said, I've tasted blood with 20% viewership share, how do I get back? And that's when things unravel.
Right, so Prashant, and I would tend to agree with you, Vikram, that if the content is good, with that kind of reach, you should have had higher viewership, the news industry, and the precedence is there. When we dished out content which is in the interest of people during COVID, 3 times jump that we've seen. So, your bit to it, Prashant.
Yeah, see, definitely none of all this are same. GC is not same as news, so are languages, so are markets. But my humble request is, there is also a customer which is our client.
Advertiser.
Yeah. So whatever we are doing, we are trying to help the client or the advertiser to find a progress in their business. That's why they are advertising. Correct. And if you put the fundamental aspect that as part of our thinking on creating solutions, I think all answers will come from there. It is a fact that there are solutions which only has news channels as part of the solution. It is a fact. It is also a fact, unfortunately, that some markets may not be there in a solution for a particular campaign. And sometimes, maybe some of the genres like music or sports or news may not be there in some of the campaigns where an advertiser is creating a solution, which is a co-creation, right? Now, therefore, what does this mean? It means that we have to focus on the solution, which will actually bring the advertiser again feel confident that I have to be focusing on the solution, again repeat it, and see a lot more longevity to the solution that we are able to strengthen, right? So I don't think we should base it with asking a question, are we all different? We are different. Definitely we are different, right? The solution on print is different to radio. I mean, look at media, look at within genre, right? But at the same time, if we all focus to create solutions that will create success for our customers, right? Our customers are in the space advertisers, right? We are creating solutions on that. Similarly, we have consumers where we position our content, etc. We also have, I mean, we are looking at a balance, right? I think there is strong value that can come on. And as Vikram mentioned, sponsorship, he meant properties, right? If we're able to create some content which will actually help the brands to connect with consumers, I think that's a great opportunity. We're able to get tech solutions, allowing them to say that we can give you some of the tasks that you want to solve for certain markets using languages. Fantastic opportunity, right? I think this is all telling us that we have abundant opportunities to create stronger solutions to our advertisers. And that is where the answers lie on our progress. And I'm definitely confident each one of us has many more assets that can be leveraged.
That's brilliant, Prashant. I think you hit the nail on the head that we are limited only by our capability to innovate. And as long as we are solution driven and not really go and ask for advertisers their buck, but provide them solutions, I think they'll be far more keen and willing. And I think because our content is far more adjustable, unlike GEC is not fixed, we are in a position to innovate more, be more solution driven. So we'd keep that in mind. Shashi, again, coming back here, obviously you also talked about consolidation. Vikram said about the number of news channels. While we are scrambling for 15% of the revenue share, but there are about 600 of us possibly. So that's the problem. But there's another radical thought which often crosses my mind, and both Karthik and you can react to that. Do you feel that advertising driven, it might be radical, it is up for discussion. Do you think an advertising driven news media is some kind of an oxymoron? Like, for instance, I'll tell you, who are our two largest segment of advertisers, the corporate world and the government, right? I mean, shall we really expose a corporate house where he should be if he is one of the largest advertisers of us? And similarly for government. I mean, is that an oxymoron? Does it self-defeat itself?
Hello? If you want a theoretical answer, I will say yes, you should keep them separate. But life is not like
theory. Life is not theory. Yeah.
So you have to have, need for survival, you need business. And I mean, it will be foolish to say, because I think the senior people, practical people sitting here, so it will be foolish to say that, you need this thing. Why can't you coexist? I mean, all over the world, whichever market, I don't know which market has free press, so I'm not as bright as all of you, but it's very difficult to figure out which market is absolutely independent press, as Venkat ji called out. But I'm sure a lot of these markets are advertising funded. Ratios may be different. India is probably more dominant, or news is probably no dominant advertiser funded. Elsewhere it is less, maybe somewhat less, but they are advertising funded, whether print or TV. There's no going away from that. I want to make a comment earlier to what Vikram and PK said, and I fully agree with what they're saying. Just want to make a comment or make an observation more than anything else. There's a campaign running from a news network, maybe a member of NBF, may not be a member of you, I'm not sure. But it says our reach is more than GC's. I'm sure all of you have seen that campaign at this point in time. So I was in a dilemma. I was thinking about it, I wear multiple hats. So one hat which I will not talk about in this forum, I was wondering with